Welcome, fans, once again to episode number 5 of the Countdown to In the Beginning, the massive inaugural event for Finger Lakes Extreme Wrestling, happening just days from now on September the 26th. And we're going to get into all the ins and outs of the card, but I'm very pleased to have on the man who is not only an ECW original, ROH tag team champion as part of the Carnage crew, a double tough veteran who's been up and down the roads many times, but he is Mr. Flex HC LOC. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, Jack. Thanks for having me again.
Well, I wanted to start off, I guess, by giving the fans some history in terms of how the Flex concept came to be. How did this company originate and move forward?
You know, it's the origin, just kind of talk of just thinking about, what if someday if I did it myself, and a former student of mine, I guess it'll always be my student, Ryan Rice, Ref Ryan, we call him. He was always kind of on the same page as me. He's a guy with a lot of ideas, and he's a hustler. He's a guy that'll get stuff done quick, and we always kind of talked about, well, how would we do it if we were to do this ourselves? I got 30 years experience, so I feel like I know quite a bit. I feel like sometimes I've had the chance to see promoters do things in a very good way, in the successful way, and I've seen a whole lot of, man, why'd they do it like that, And I said, it's time to kind of maybe put my money where my mouth is, and got together with my buddy Ryan and a couple other guys. And we said, let's give this a shot. And back to Ryan being very a hustler and a hard worker and a guy that gets stuff done. As soon as I said, man, maybe we really should, he's sending me logo ideas and venue ideas and blah, 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 and all those things. And then it kind of just started to pick up speed. And I'm blessed to be in a position where I guess maybe I've earned a little bit of credibility in the business over the years. So it was came together relatively quick because people were willing to work with me. And here we are. Right now it's Monday. So what are we, 4 nights away, 5 nights away? And it's getting real, brother. It's things are picking up speed. Tickets are flying. Yeah, we're excited.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And, I saw on flexwrestling.com where fans go out and get those tickets, and make sure you do, because Mr. LOC is not exaggerating here. They are going quickly.
Yeah, for sure.
I saw on the website that you had I guess you would call it a mission statement, so to speak, in terms of the overall vision for Flex. Could you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. I mean, I think in a broad sense, we very much want to. I think there's a way that we can take pro wrestling's roots and the way that that guys my age and everybody younger too, maybe what they fell in love with wrestling about, and present that in a old school way with some new twists on it, with some new talent, was doing some innovative things. And it's certainly something you can tell by the name, Flex Wrestling, Finger Lakes Extreme Wrestling. We're from the Finger Lakes region, and I thought it would be something really cool if if our area had something to be proud of. And it's almost like you've heard that term, buy local. People say that, if there's a guy, if the farmer's across the street selling eggs, maybe you don't got to go to Walmart all the time, buy local. It helps, So if we could kind of create that vibe where the people around us support it and it becomes their thing. And then, but that doesn't limit us. We have you coming for shows, all the way from Canada, but we have fans that have bought tickets from Washington, D.C., coming from New Jersey. I'm going to miss some, but like pretty big hike, especially when you take into account that this is our first show. So, it's just ours to screw up now, because we've had it all, we're pretty blessed with that theme. But it's about maybe underserved markets. Savona, New York has I would say, including arenas I've been blessed to wrestle in, one of the top 5 coolest venues I will ever have wrestled in my life. And it also has never had wrestling, ever. It's never been within 30 miles of here, so it's really like the best of both worlds. It's getting that whole, there's this small town vibe that just happens to have this, without exaggeration, $1 million venue in it. And we were lucky to partner with them. And I don't know if it's because, we're just the first pro wrestling company to knock on the door, but luckily, I'm from this area. So the owners know who I am. And not to toot my own horn, but wrestling fans know who I am. So it was kind of a nice little match there for us, and starting out right in the Finger Lakes region, and then hopefully we'll just grow from here.
Mm-hmm. And we'll talk about the Mud Creek Bison Ranch in a minute, but I think your discussion there dovetails nicely into my next question, and that's, we're seeing a lot of wrestling fans, new and old school, of course, feel disenfranchised, so to speak, by the clearly non-fan friendly approach of the WWE in terms of ridiculous, in my opinion, pricing, elimination of house shows, and a product as we saw on Saturday with a lot of hype, but it really didn't deliver, in my opinion, again, in terms of what you would expect for a major league show. So my long-winded question there is, do you think there's a significant opportunity for quality, which Flex Wrestling, which we'll talk about the card, clearly is quality independent wrestling, to thrive in this environment?
I absolutely do, because there's a double-edged sword there with the current business of WWE specifically. Whereas they are so huge and so global, okay, that they just started on ESPN. Of course, we know about the several billion-dollar Netflix deal, and Saudi Arabia giving them hundreds, literally, of millions of dollars. And the business is huge, and that's great for them. And it's great for those guys. And whether you're the fan of the product or not, from a business standpoint, they're clearly thriving, right? But there's such a huge disconnect between that and what families can afford or what they necessarily want to do, which is why, again, going back to this great venue we've partnered with, but the time, not just that, but the time and frankly money we've spent on making sure that production wise, this show is a little something special. You know what I mean? And again, when I speak, it's not saying, oh, other indies aren't blah, blah, blah. I've been an independent professional wrestler my entire life. And I love every single one of them. I used the analogy, maybe even on your show before, that it wasn't very many weeks ago I wrestled in a parking lot at a bowling alley because it's fun, and the fans love it, and that's great. But if somebody like us can provide a TV quality product where you have hand-picked talent on that show that can deliver, that you believe in, and they want to step up and treat it like it's something special, and give that to them with a vibe where you have lights and sounds and big screens and all of those things, where they have an experience there. Similar, obviously we don't have the budget, but similar to a WWE TV taping or something like that, where it's an entire show, production and wrestling all in one. But, the story I love to tell is, not too long ago was SummerSlam, right? And I think I told this on your show last time, but I like to every once in a while take some of my students and we'll go do something nice. If they're good, hardworking guys and they're loyal and they're doing well, come on, coach is going to take you to do something. I took us all to SummerSlam. I took 3 of my students, and I paid $250 each for these tickets in a stadium that was on purpose. You get on Ticketmaster, and I picked the farthest ones away I could because I knew they were going to be expensive. The farthest ones in a football stadium. I, with my old ass eyes, had to watch the whole show clearly on the big screens, even with my glasses on. We enjoyed it. It was fine. It cost us $250 a piece to be there. Or you can come to the Mud Creek Bison Ranch, see hungry talent, hungry talent that wants to impress you, wants to step up and make this a big deal, and you can sit front row for $25. You know, it's to me, I think that right there is our best selling point. And to your question, my long-winded answer is yes, there's a void there, and we're looking to fill it.
Mm-hmm. And that's another facet of the independent wrestling experience that you won't get at WWE is there's an interactive situation there that can happen between the wrestlers and the fans that I'm sorry if you're off in the stratosphere of MetLife Stadium, for example, you're not going to encounter that. But in terms of the facility itself, was it secured with respect to the fact that you're a local individual, and you see this? I see that it's already been christened as the Flex Zone, which is exciting because it's kind of a different independent model than, for example, the shows that I ran for GNW where we toured. Is it part of your business plan to run out of there and create a special, like I guess I should say it, ECW-esque arena situation?
You nailed it. That's exactly, once it started to come together. And first we secured the building, and those negotiations went quick and smooth, and that it was very encouraging. But once we really got to dive in and see how helpful they have an in-house production manager, a full-time guy there, just in charge of lights and sound and booking, how accommodating he is being. As far as like, here's a little peek behind the curtain. The show is 7:00 on Friday. We're loading the ring in on Wednesday, which I can't think of a time when that happens in independent wrestling, because we know that there's so much to go over and so much to with the lights and the music and the video screens and whatnot, and everything has to be just so, and the ring has to be centered under the lights and all of those things. And the production manager there was. Some of that was his idea. You know, do you guys want to come in a couple days early? Yes, that's great. So we don't have to, scramble on Friday. I say that to say that once those things started to become evident that they were as excited to have us there as we are to be there. That was the term you used is exactly what I said. I turned to my partner, Ryan, and I said, hey, we just found our ECW arena. He goes, yep. So that's kind of what it's like. Now, does that say that's the only place we'll ever run? No. But it raises the bar quite a bit, where I'm that type of person anyway, where I love the production side of things. And I couldn't see us just, setting up a ring in a VFW, even though I love those shows. It's just not our business model. So for us to travel somewhere else, it would have to be a place where what's the lights like? What's the sounds like? What's the seating like? Is this an event or is this just a little show? We want our things to be an event. And so the Mud Creek Bison Ranch is our home for the foreseeable future. We're excited about it.
Yeah, absolutely exciting. You mentioned you're from the area. It's an underserviced area. Beautiful area though, in terms of geography, and the people there are so nice in New York State. One of my favorite places to visit. But you've made some comments about your career. Being an ECW original is quite a notation for the resume. Being a Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champion and an excellent tag team with DeVito, also a huge honor. But what does that mean for you to wrestle in front of your hometown peeps and be the driving, one of the primary driving forces behind Flex?
It's huge. It's the town of Savona, New York, and I graduated from Camp El Savona High School. There's never ever been a show here at all. And so after 30 years of being on the road, and some of my friends and family and neighbors, seeing me traveling a little bit, or even when I wrestle somewhat local, an hour or so away, once in a while, seeing those things, or luckily getting the chance to see me on television once in a while. This is something completely different. It's I've been saying this all week. It's a big media week for us. Actually 2 weeks. Today's only Monday. The last push for the show, and I always say, one of the highlights of my career, I get to call myself an ECW original. I get to call myself a Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champion, and I'm wrestling at the Mud Creek Bison Ranch this Friday night. Those are the big three of a 30-year career that I'm awful proud of. So it's right up there with all of those.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and something that not a lot of folks get to do. I did have a couple of fan questions come in. We'll give one now, and that would be from a fan who asked, in terms of those companies that you applied your trade in before, if you had to, you've been involved in some big moments. What would you consider, the most important moment of your career prior to now?
Oh wow, it would probably be the easy answer would be winning the Ring of Honor World Tag Team titles with my brother Tony DeVito. That would probably be number one. But there were so many ECW ones. Just being on that team was huge. To just to be part of it. I've never seen anything like that before or since. And of course, here's another chance for a plug to say I hope the Flex turns into this. But that ECW vibe of guys that work for WWE or even Ring of Honor, and that was great. But they might make friends, they might make lifelong friends. When they see each other, they're like, "Oh, remember when?" And it's great to see you, brother. But when we see somebody from ECW, the only word to describe it is like a family, and to be accepted into that family, at whatever level I was, there's very few fans that are going to say, "Hey, my favorite ECW wrestlers are Rob Van Dam, Tommy Dreamer, Sabu, and HC Loc." I get that. I wasn't one of those guys there. But, who knows if the company had closed, but maybe a couple of them do say that. But, and I'm thankful for that. But just to be on that team and to be accepted as one of them. And, there's the famous stories of, somebody trying to mess with somebody in the locker room, and then you had to fight the whole locker room type of thing, and not to say that doesn't exist other places. Hopefully those things don't happen, hopefully the business is evolved to where it's not quite like that. But when you were one of those guys, I can't think of one specific moment. I had huge moments in ECW, getting to work with Dusty Rhodes for the first time. Forget about it. How did I get so lucky? Excuse me. But just being on that team was one of the biggest honors of my life, let alone my career. Somewhere that ranks up there with being a tag champion with DeVito, however short that was. But it was a big moment, Legitimate world title is for what that's worth.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And speaking of history, you're going to open the show against a man that I'm really impressed with. He was on this podcast series, and that would be Price Pure Gold. He had a lot of respectful things to say about yourself, but he did acknowledge that there's some pressure in that. This is hopefully looking back years from now, this will be the Stevie Richards moment where it's the first match on the first show in the company's history. How are you approaching this bout, and do you feel a little bit of extra pressure given that slot? It's a high profile and high pressure slot generally speaking, but I think even more so now.
Oh my gosh, yes. I've gone around shooting my mouth off for 3 or 4 months or whatever it's been, that this is going to be the next big thing in wrestling, that we're really coming to make an impact and to put ourselves on the map. And then I go ahead like a big dummy and put myself in the first match, so yeah, if you want to, I'm up to the challenge. I feel like, If I do say so myself, I've always been a rise to the occasion kind of guy. When it comes to pro wrestling, I'm much better at, all right, we're here now, let's go do this, and we get the work done, than I am. I'm not a guy that's going to think a week in advance of, boy, what would I like to do in my match. It's I try to step up when the red light's on. And Price, I know that it's a big deal to him, not only because of this new company, and I think all the guys are excited about that, which is really cool. But because it's with me and because it's the first match on the first show, but it's also my hometown, right? It's if he comes away with a win in that or whatever, that's a pretty big deal. So there is a lot of pressure on that. Again, the peek behind the curtain, that's what we're here to do. Is I wouldn't do with anybody else but Price this first time. I needed to know that I was out there with a guy that, okay, brother, I'm fixing to show the world that we got something special here. And on top of that, talk about pressure. For the first time in 30 years, my friends and neighbors and people that, heard the talk or maybe read about it on the internet are going to be there. And so you better be ready to strap on and show these people that I haven't wasted my time for 30 years. And he can do it. I can do it. I don't have any idea, and I'm not working yet, what any kind of outcome is going to be, other than we're going to knock it out of the park. We're going to set the pace for this show and for this company. And I can't tell you the last time I've been so excited about a match.
Yeah, and as I'm assuming that Flex will be crowning eventually a heavyweight champion, every match on this card counts in terms of those eventual rankings and where folks fall in terms of the pecking order. Some of these names might be new to some of the fans that are watching, but by the end of this show, they're going to know them all. I wanted to ask you about Julio Diamante against Carmelo Lee, another match on the show. I know that the independent scene in especially upstate New York and the Northeast is thriving, and these are a couple of individuals looking to make a name for themselves.
Absolutely, and we are lucky in this area. It's the talent pool is pretty deep. If you not in this immediate area, like I said, hasn't been anything around here, but as far as within 2 or 3 hours from here, there's a lot of wrestlers to choose from, which is why, I can't stress enough that everybody on this show, it was agonized over and it was handpicked. It wasn't just like, oh, who's available. It was, these have got to be the people. So Carmelo Lee is actually a new wrestler. He is a student out of the Ground Zero school up in Rochester, New York. And he was so impressive, doing so well that we just knew that, not everybody could be a 30-year veteran on the show. You're right. We needed some young guys too. And he was a no-brainer. Switching to Julio Diamante, a Puerto Rican wrestler, also trains in the New York area quite a bit. Has recently made appearances for House of Glory, Reds federation down there, and that's a pretty big deal. And I've been in the ring with him several times, and I think he's a fantastic talent. And where he really set himself apart was, I'm going to tell you, maybe 6 months ago, he was able to have a singles match with Mike Santana, and I was there to witness it. And I said, boy, I just watched a boy become a man right there. And he stepped up. And at that point, it was like, okay, this mental list of if I ever pull the trigger and we start our own company, he's got to be on that roster. And he's going to really impress some people.
And for those fans that, like myself, that are hugely missing and fans of tag team wrestling, you've got the high seas against Johnny Kashmere and JP Grayson. Kashmere, of course, a legend himself. What can fans expect from that encounter?
It's I'm expecting a tag team greatness. These guys can do it. They know what they're doing. Johnny Cashmere is a legendary tag team wrestler. DeVito and I used to wrestle he and his late partner Trent Acid all the time. And JP Grayson is, I don't know their current state, a member of what they're calling the New Backseat Boys with his brother, who's suffered an injury. So at this point, it's JP teaming up with Johnny Cashmere, and there's a little something going on there because we started to advertise. Oh, great, we got the Backseat Boys here. And then we got word, no, I don't know about that. Don't call us the Backseat Boys. I don't know about this kid. So I don't know. See there? So you can see a little smug look on little JP's face right there. I don't really know what's going on there. But I've seen him wrestle as a tag team before. I've wrestled them a dozen times. And high seas are fantastic. And I'm expecting a full-on classic tag team match. There's something going on with JP and Johnny right there. We're going to have to keep our eyes on. But I'm excited to watch it unfold.
Mm-hmm. And I had the opportunity for this series to interview Shale Connors and Mike Skyros coming up this week, as well as a bonus episode. Shale impressed with his enthusiasm, and of course, anybody familiar with the independent scene in the area knows Skyros and what he brings to the table. That's going to be not to use a JR trope, but a banger.
I expect nothing less, quite frankly. I hate to put any, there they are. I hate to put any undue pressure on this roster, but I'm going to call it right now. That right there, I'm expecting to be match of the night. Not to take anything away from anybody else, but you'll notice they're not at the end of the card, so they got some people that are going to have to follow them, and they need to step up and do that too. Mike Skyros has become a well-traveled veteran of the game. He's really come into his own over the last 2 or 3, maybe 4 years, 3 years at least. Had some big matches that he was able to step up for, and I've had quite a hand in developing. I like to think Shale Connors, and it's his time. He needs to step up now and become a star, and I think he's ready to do it. And I think these two are gonna. I firmly believe these two are gonna steal the show.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, it certainly has all the makings of that. Now, I wanted to ask you about this match, the Mud Creek Stampede Scramble with Tyler Reed, Colt Allen, Aiden Allen, Ash Bennett, Don Freeze, and Saint. What is the rules of engagement, so to speak, in this match?
Well, quite frankly, it's very much like, and in fact, in many ways, is a scramble match. I was pretty proud to say that myself, as well as the office at Ring of Honor, developed and named and basically invented the scramble match. That term was first coined in Ring of Honor, and I kind of personally was tasked with. After a while, being the guy that kind of helped put those matches together. We did a million of them. They were usually tag team scrambles, but a scramble match is nothing new. People have heard of that a lot. But we wanted to make sure that it was, again, handpicked talent to go on this thing that was really, really ready to go and really ready to impress. And there's a couple important distinctions about that. Sometimes when you go to an independent show, and again, please, anytime when I compare us to another independent, I'm not talking down. Who knows? We haven't had our first show yet. But what our intention is here is that sometimes you see, well, there's a 3-way, and then there's a 4-way, and then there's a 6-man scramble and all this stuff. And I think, well, that probably just means that they booked too many guys, or these guys showed up and, hey, let's see how many guys we can get on the card. We on purpose decided, let's do this one match, a show. And let's handpick this talent where this is your opportunity to knock it out of the park. I keep going back to it, but this is your opportunity to become a star. Show these people that a big fireworks show. Nonstop action for 10, 15, 20 minutes, whatever it takes. 6 guys. everybody against everybody. And where the term Mud Creek Stampede comes in is clearly because of our partners there. And I thought that was a pretty cool co-branding we could do. And then we make it unique to us that way. And will those rules even be tweaked as time goes on? Maybe so. But I would think that people that are familiar with what a scramble match is can expect something like that here. The distinction being that these are, again, well-qualified athletes that, not to say that other people aren't, but these are people that are totally up to the challenge to go out there and say, hey, look at me, I'm a star. No, there's 5 other guys in this match, but I'm going to make you look at me. That's what these guys are tasked with doing, and I want to see who comes out on top of that.
Wow, that will definitely be exciting. Was that infamous 2003 ROH tag cage match where the Carnage Crew came out on top? Was that a scramble? Was that called the scramble?
We called it the scramble cage. Yeah. So that's where that. Yeah, and as a matter of fact, a little history there. There's platforms on the corners of that cage, and in my day job, I've always been a carpenter. A trade taught to me by my father, and so I built those at that time, however long ago that was, 22 years ago or something. And in the barn where my father used to live, you can still see the triangles on the concrete floor where I spray painted those things. So a little bit of wrestling history in an old barn in Campbell, New York, if anybody ever stumbles on it.
Well, if it's if this match is 1/3 as memorable as that, then we'll definitely have something special. Next is the matchup where it's a teacher versus the student, and it's hard to fully embrace that moniker because the student himself is one heck of a teacher. I would be talking about Maddock versus the veteran, the legendary veteran Colin Delaney, who's had national runs. I had the pleasure of interviewing Maddock on the last episode, and man, this has all the makings of a classic too.
Oh my gosh, yes. Yeah, like you said, Colin trained Maddock, but now Maddock, I think, is the head coach at the school they run together. So how's that going to play out? And Maddock deserves that spot, by the way. He is a tremendous professional wrestler. He's a guy, I would say, I've said multiple times, I've had some of my best matches ever against Maddock. He's one of, if not my favorite opponent. And the way I describe Colin Delaney is, I've told him this for years, not just when we're doing press. I tell him it in the back. I think he's the best unsigned professional wrestler in the country. I really do. So you put those two guys together, how can you miss? So another exciting one for fans to check out.
Mm-hmm. And this match really caught my interest because it's a literal David versus Goliath encounter. You've got Siren Rain, the David in the mix against the Goliath, Pat Sawyer. I've had an opportunity to look at some tape on both these athletes, and this will be one to be watched in terms of a very interesting distinction between the two.
Oh my goodness, yes. I don't know if you or any of your listeners or followers got a chance to see the live stream last night from the Mud Creek Bison Ranch. Every Sunday, they check in a similar format to this and talk about what happened this last week and what's going to happen next week. And they had me on last night, with the plan being that I'd bring a couple wrestlers with me. And how that ended up was, hey, let me introduce Pat Sawyer, because he's this big, giant guy. You can tell he's a star a mile away. Mr. Rain didn't love the idea that I introduced Pat first, and he came in with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, and he proclaimed to the world, looked into that camera and said that he was ready to be a star and that he didn't think he needed to wait till Friday to be one. Long story short, his ass went through a table right there and out back in the Mud Creek Ranch just last night. So they're coming in with a little bit extra steam on this one. I don't think they're going to be starting with a lot of wrist locks. They've they've already that match started a little bit last night. So by the time this Friday rolls around, you're going to see some fired up boys ready to go, and one of them's a damn near giant. So I don't know how that's going to end for Mr. Rain, but I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, is it accurate? I've watched some of the comments that Mr. Rain has made on the match, and he strikes me as having a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. I guess that's accurate.
I think so too. I don't know if it's, is it just because his opponent happened on the first show happens to be a guy that's so much bigger than him that he has to think he needs to hoot and holler a little bit to puff his chest up to maybe be heard. But I don't know what his deal is there. But he's got quite a mountain to climb on Friday night. And but I will tell you this: I've known him since the first day he stepped in the wrestling ring, and if he says he can do it, I'm not going to doubt him. But I want to see it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And of course, the main event of the evening, talk about a guy that has all the skills, all the tools, and is so well renowned in the area. That would be Sean Carr versus a man I know very well, dating back to a card in London, Ontario, that he main evented in against my broadcast partner, Kingpin Angel Medina. That would be the Man Beast Rhino, and you've got to figure that Sean is well prepared at this stage of his career to beat Rhino. He said to me that the fans that are expecting Rhino just to gore him into oblivion, his quote, they're going to be disappointed, because he knows he's looking at the future of Flex Wrestling and has title aspirations in there, and Rhino, he's not going to make it easy on him. What are your thoughts on this excellent main event?
Oh man, it gives me goosebumps to hear you talk about this main event. Honestly, it really does. Hair stands up on the back of my neck, because I've known Rhino forever. He and I started in ECW similar to the same time. I can remember we were both working out with Tracy Smothers before the doors opened, before either one of us ever got on TV. And of course, he skyrocketed, and look at the career he's had since. And Sean Carr, I've known since he was a kid. He's not that far away from me, an hour and a half away, where he broke into the business. I think of all of the quote unquote local talent on this show, and I wouldn't consider Sean local. Let me rephrase that as a non-WWE alum or something like that. He's the one I believe the most in, I would say, as far as I don't know how he can avoid that gore. I've taken it on national television. There's some famous, at least famous to me, footage of me taking that spear and the gum going flying out of my mouth, and it was quite a thing. But how Sean thinks he can avoid that, I don't know. I'm not going to doubt Sean Carr. Having said that, the Man Beast Rhino getting in his car, because Big Brother don't like to fly, and driving all the way from Detroit to Savona, New York. And there's a compliment right there, folks. If you think that you would even consider missing this show, Big Brother Rhino driving halfway across the country because he wants to be a part of Flex Wrestling too. So please show up and see him there. But what are you going to do against a man like that? I've tried a few times. I've been in the ring with Rhino. Brother tosses me around like I was an old newspaper. He just want to toss over his shoulder. And so Sean's in for a fight. Does he say? I hope he wasn't foolish enough to tell you that he thought it would be an easy night for him. But if he thinks he can pull it off, I want to see it. I want to see it. It's put it this way. There's a reason that one's the main event, because man, sparks are going to fly.
And when you look at this matchup, you're talking. Sean is experienced now. Rhino is, as you've said, an unmitigated powerhouse veteran, done it all. But Sean, I guess, is of the opinion that his finesse and his technical skill. Well, I shouldn't say just technical skill. The man really has an arsenal of so many tools that is going to overcome the situation. But I guess it's classic finesse versus raw, unbridled power.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Sean's that kind of guy where he's not a small man, really. He's not. Sometimes people forget that because he can float around and do the moonsaults like everybody else and do these cool things. But when you stand next to him, or if you're in a ring with him, or he's walking down the aisle, he's a rather large man himself. But then you're talking about the beast, Rhino, on the other side. I would say, I guess the biggest compliment I can say to Sean, if anybody's going to pull it off, it might be him. I don't. I'm not going to bet against him. I'll put it that way. But Sean Carr is a fantastic professional wrestler in every sense of the word. If you want to talk about in front of the camera and behind the camera, he knows this business. He understands it. He understands what he has to go out there to get the best out of himself. And he knows what he has to do to go out there to try to hang with a man like Rhino. And, Rhino's resume, comes it comes without us even having to explain it. But Sean Carr's will too after this Friday night. I'm sure of it. If the people will take that drive to Savona, New York, or check us out on Facebook or YouTube or TikTok or any of the places we're going to stream. But it's nothing like being there in person. But those of you that are gonna meet Sean Carr for the first time, brother, you are seeing a professional wrestler this Friday night.
And fans, you can't. We throw a lot of hyperbole around in this business, but as you've just heard from Mr. LOC, this is going to be an extremely, it is a stacked card from top to bottom, and it is literally history in the making. This Friday, September 26, 2025. Go to flexwrestling.com right now. Get your tickets. And despite the avenues that you can stream it, watch it, etc., if you are in the Northeast, hell, I'm coming down from Ontario. I wouldn't miss it for the world to cover it. Quebec, Michigan, all over the U.S. Make your plans and check it out, because there's no other substitute for seeing quality professional wrestling, not sports entertainment, but professional wrestling live. And you really, as an old school fan, I think this is going to deliver, as well as for the new fans, and we should all support independent wrestling. LOC, I know you're extremely busy. I appreciate all the time you've donated to this today, but what's going through your mind? You must have, I've been there, probably I could predict, but you must have a zillion things going through your mind. But man, there is a legit buzz around Finger Lakes Extreme Wrestling, and it must feel good to be so close.
Well, I can tell you that the last part first, that's what keeps it going. That's what makes everything worth it, because there is a little bit of anxiety. But when it comes to the wrestling part, I got the butterflies because I know I can't have anything less than my best showing for myself in the ring. Having said that, I've personally had over 2,500 professional matches, so I know that I can do that part. Doesn't make it easy, doesn't make it any less stressful, but I know I can do that part. This time, it's having a hand in the promotion and being part of the nuts and bolts of the whole thing. It's week of, and it's like, boy, do we have enough cables to run 6 cameras? We're doing a 6-camera shoot. It's like, okay, did I get enough rolls of yellow tape to brand the ropes the right color for our show? I think I did. I ordered 100 of them. So hopefully we'll be fine there. So there's a lot of that stuff, but it's that kind of anxiety. It's I don't know what to compare it to. It's like, I'd say it's not like a kid before Christmas. It's more like a parent before Christmas, when you are so excited and God, I can't wait for the kids to see this, and I hope they like it as much as I think they're gonna, and all that stuff. And that's me this week, and it's just that tingling going on. Yesterday we had our record day of sales as far as tickets goes. I think we had gosh, I'm going to get it wrong, but over 40 people logged on to flexwrestling.com and ordered tickets just in one day yesterday. And again, this not saying we're any better or any worse than anybody else, but I know a lot of independent promotions that maybe only do 40 online sales at all, and then rely on the rest for walk-up. So we had that just yesterday. So I think you're right. I think that's real. The buzz is out there. All this work we're doing with helping folks like you, it's paying off. But I can't stress enough, folks, that see it live if you can, see it in person, and don't wait. Yes, it's a huge building, and the chances are pretty good that if you just show up day of, you'll get in, but you're gonna have to sit in the back, and front row will sell out. We're on course to do that at any time, maybe before we're off the air right now. And additionally, of course, as with everything else, the ticket prices go up day of show. So and that's for the very obvious reason of, if anybody ever wonders why shows do that, we need to know how many chairs to order. We need to know stuff like that. It's important. So there needs to be some incentive for people to buy early. So please do that. Visit flexwrestling.com. Join us this Friday night. It's not hyperbole, folks. I love that word. You said it earlier, Jack. It's not hyperbole. This is going to be professional wrestling history. And someday you're going to say, I was there in the beginning and saw Flex Wrestling the first day.
Yeah, it's as we like to say in the business, that is a total shoot. So go to flexwrestling.com, get your tickets. Mr. LOC, I will let you go about your business because you probably have so many things to do, but we'll see you Friday there at the facility live. Very much looking forward to it, but thanks for coming on today.
Thanks for having me, Jack. Anytime. Look forward to seeing you Friday.
Well, fans, that's it for this very special edition of Countdown to In the Beginning. We'll be going live once again on Wednesday with Mike Skyros. Don't miss that one. But until then, go to flexwrestling.com, get those tickets. Thank you for watching this video. Please give it a like if you enjoyed it. Be sure to follow us on all social media platforms at Cheap Heat Productions. Don't forget to hit the notification button and you won't miss any of our upcoming interviews, recurring programs,